What's up guys, this is Automotive Anonymous, and if you're new to my channel and I'm not doing physical therapy full-time, I'm doing car reviews, 0 to 60, stuff like that. But today we have my 2023 Mazda Miata Club, and today is the 1 week update of ownership. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I could end this video in the next 7 seconds saying that this is hands down the best driver's car that I have ever experienced. And I've driven some pretty cool stuff, but I want to tell you a little bit more about what my first week of ownership has been like with the Miata. Has it been all sunshine and rainbows? Absolutely not. In fact, there's a few gripes I have about this Club MX-5. One thing to address is it is dirty. This is Snowflake White, mica pearl, nicknamed Snow White, and it has been driven in rain or snow-like conditions 3 times in the last week. So although it's filthy, it still looks pretty darn cool. Pretty darn good. Let's get the gripes out of the way, that way we can focus on all that is done so well with this car. Both of them are related to the center console. Your elbow sometimes bumps into the cup holder, and the scrolly dial for volume you have to kind of awkwardly move your arm to get to. That's about it. Now that we can move on, if you're new to my channel, before this I had a 1998 Trans Am. I did headers, full bolt-ons to it, made about 400 horse, and it was a really fun LS1 powered car, had a lot of character to it. And when I had owned that, I had assumed the next car I would get would probably be like a C6 Grand Sport with the glass roof, the 6-speed manual, something that's about the same price range as a Club Miata, somewhere in the low 30,000 ballpark. I was used to owning a third car, having an extra fun car, and the Trans Am, it used to sit in the garage while my Outback Wilderness sat in the driveway. When I sold it in spring of last year, I just wanted to downsize for a little while, enjoy having only one car to deal with. And about 2 weeks later, I got the bug to drive a Miata. I found a 2016 ND1 to test drive, and I knew this was going to be the next car. I have totally forgotten about the C6 basically ever since then. And if I ever have thought about it since then, my neighbor has too. He has a Z06 and like a 600 wheel horsepower all motor C6 base. I ordered this one mid-January. It took about 6 weeks to get to the States, which I am absolutely flabbergasted that it came so quick. I know some of you guys have been waiting a lot longer than that, and some of you live in different parts of the world or have it spec'd differently, and I'm so sorry that your guys' delivery time has not been the same experience as mine, although kudos to Mazda. I'm so thankful for what they did for my car. But that's enough of that. Let's get back to the purpose of this video. I've owned it for a week, so I want to talk about a few understandings I have of the vehicle, such as MPG, the surprises I've had, what mods do I want, what has it been like to own, are there life adjustments, how much did it cost, and more over my about 160, 170 miles on it so far. Additionally, as you guys can already tell, this is more of an impromptu style video review. So let me know in the comments, those of you who watch a lot of my channel, do you like this style or should it be more structured? Let me know. Most of my reviews are very structured in comparison to this. Anyways, sitting in the cockpit of the Miata is fantastic. It does feel very snug, but very comfortable. The heated seats do a great job. And the HVAC does fantastic. As long as those vents are on and angled towards you, you might have to roll up the windows on cold, windy days like today when it's in the 30s, but it's great. Obviously, I've driven in the rain, I've driven it in light snow, and I was warm. Depending on how heavy it was coming down, determined if the top was up or down. Now we're at 165 miles. I had 4 when I got it, and the computer thinks it's getting 34.1 mpg. I'm assuming that's up to 5% generous over what I'll get at the pump when I have to fill it up in a little while. But that's all around town with plenty of 5,000 RPM runs. I haven't pushed it much past that since we're on break-in period right now. But it's done exceptionally well, getting about 8 mpg better than the EPA estimated in town. I cannot complain. Wireless Apple CarPlay with the Siri on the voice controls is really good. It's very fast, very responsive. It's a lot better than my daily driver Outback Wilderness. Additionally, all the speakers that this has in here, including the Bose in the headrests, do such a good job. I thought that might feel kind of weird, kind of up in your face, in your ear, but it's integrated in so well. It's like you can't even tell they're back there, but the sound quality, even with the top down, is just incredible. The gear shifter is fantastic, short throws, very notchy, very mechanical, and when it's in gear you can feel it vibrating because there's not a lot of linkages connecting it to the actual transmission and all those spinning gears. So I'm really impressed with this transmission. It's one of the best I have ever driven, and a lot of other transmissions just are kind of boring after it, like the Bronco 7-speed I reviewed recently. It's not nearly as good as this. when I bought the Miata, one of the surprises I was not expecting is it's kind of hard to get out of it without almost kicking the steering wheel. You can also see where a lot of road grime builds up, but this is a driver's car. It's not a $200,000 Porsche 911. It's a $30-something thousand Mazda. You can drive in all weather conditions, just make sure you have good tires. Another surprise is just how darn good those LED headlights are. Because this body style came out in 2016, I figured like, okay, they're LEDs technically, they're probably not that bright. No, they actually are bright. They're potentially brighter than my Outback Wilderness that has really good LED headlights. And when there's not wind noise out, you can actually hear the fan running behind them, which is similar to the off-site LEDs I put in my wife's car. Kudos to Mazda, those are very bright at night, especially those high beams. A surprise to non-Miata drivers is just how fun these are going down the road. There is literally nothing like driving a 2,300 pound car that has 50-50 weight balance and can do a full circle in less than 30 feet without sliding the rear end around. It's absolutely insane how well a car that weighs this light handles. You don't have to slow down around corners and then speed up like literally everything else. You just roll around corners and it feels exceptionally planted, even with a bit of speed. When you're driving the Miata or you have the top up, you just need to pay attention to other drivers. It doesn't feel unsafe, but just that you need to be alert to your surroundings. Visibility is actually pretty good still. You have the blind spot monitoring in the mirror. You can see my WS6 styled hood back there from the Trans Am days. But overall, really good, just pay attention. The storage in the Miata for having no compromises is honestly so impressive. 4.6 cubic feet back there, easily fits my backpack. I could imagine 2 carry-ons stacked on top of each other with a little bit of side room. And then you have the secret compartments on each side, which are decent. You could fit a good amount of stuff in there. And then the actual glove box equivalent is surprisingly big. And guys, I'm really sorry for all the wind noise you're probably hearing on this video. When I do the full review video in the next week or two, I'll try to do better, find a better day for that. But today's the 1 week of ownership, so I wanted to show you it as it was happening, as the Love new car goggles are still on and being worn, although it's hard to imagine on this car that they'll wear off anytime soon. In my situation, there's not a lot of life adjustments to owning a third car again, a performance car, one of this nature, because I was used to the Trans Am. It had performance tires I put on, so I already had to watch the weather app. If I was going to take it to work on my 75-mile round trip daily for therapy, I already had to pay attention to stuff like that. I'm used to having the extra car in the garage and one in the driveway. The main things is just remembering to put the garage door opener back in it, putting any of my extra gear in it that I keep otherwise solely in the Outback. But it's really pretty easy to manage. Additionally, I know these aren't cheap, but all things considered, compared to a lot of other stuff, I would say they're cheap. My full coverage insurance on this is $61 a month, which I feel like is phenomenal for what is literally a sports car. Getting mid-30s, not even trying MPG, I think that's going to eat up the cost of insurance right there just on what it saves over basically any other daily driver. And then I am not a fan of financing cars. I really think drive something safe that you can afford so that you don't get car poor and have to make other life accommodations and sacrifices for it. But this is a car that, for other reasons, I decided to finance over 36 months. Mazda had a fantastic 0.90% interest. So over the whole loan, that's less than 500 bucks of interest if I would actually be patient and pay it off over 36 months. But it's gonna go faster than that. I was conflicted earlier, like I mentioned in my first video, on whether I should have gone the fancy package, the track pack, or not. That includes those side skirts, BBS wheels, Brembo front brakes, and Recaro seats. But honestly, for $4,500 plus tax, and if you were to finance it and pay interest, for like $5 grand, I don't think it's worth it. These Mazda wheels are so good as is. Having the front lip, honestly, is just fantastic. And then because you still get the Bose headrests and the heated seats, it's hard to imagine that those Recaros are going to be much better for daily driving if that's what your purpose is. And if you're going to track it, seriously, just get a legit driver track seat and you're probably going to be better off in the long run. And that way, when someone spills a milkshake on your $1,500 Recaro, you're not going to be crying about it after they get out of the car. This MX-5 is seriously such a joy to ride. There is a little bit of body roll. It's not nearly as stiff as the ZL1 1LE I remember driving a few months back, but it's the perfect amount. It's very forgiving and accommodating so that you can enjoy the pretty roads and nature, you know, national parks, all the good ones, Tail of the Dragon, Road to the Sun, anything like that. This is going to have such a good time. You're not going to feel every little rut in the road. It's the perfect balance, and with 5 inches of ground clearance, at no point in my minimal driving so far has it scraped or ever felt like it was a concern. Kind of on the note of the fancy pack, what would I do in the future to this car? Obviously it's going to get tint in just a little while, like all of my other vehicles basically have had, not too long after I got them. But I do think it'd be good to get a legit roll bar, maybe a Blackbird or something in there, something that still fits under the top. That way when you do the broomstick test and you see the height between the top to the bar, your head should not be above that, because you don't want to roll over and lose the top of your head. That's how you lose your life. It's honestly going to be a hard decision to replace those wheels, because you don't see a lot of Club Miatas, especially where only 10,000 are in the US a year and only a fraction of those are Club. These black wheels look really good, but maybe down the road we'll get some aftermarket ones. Potentially, if I get an aftermarket set, then these could have a really sticky tire on the front and a worse tire on the back for drifting or autocross type of events. We'll see what happens. A throwback to the little British cars, I really like the dual single side exhaust, and when you start it up, even if it's warm, it does a little 2000 RPM blurb, which I'll show you here. I don't think it's going to get an aftermarket exhaust because it is decent right now, and I don't want it to drone or be anything that's unpleasant to drive long distance, which is what this car is going to get a lot of time doing. Anyways, another kudos to Mazda for having the rubber exterior parameter lined so that you can keep the engine bay looking brand spanking new, clean enough to eat off of, or maybe put a can of baked beans in there and cook it while you're driving. Because even though the rest of the vehicle is filthy, under the hood is fantastic. But if you're a new Miata owner like I am, I recommend you avoid watching videos like the LS swapped Miatas, the orange Hellcat swapped Miata, because you're going to want to cut a hole through your hood and you're going to swap out powertrains, spend 20 grand plus, and make a 700 wheel horsepower monster. And I honestly don't know if that would make this better or ruin it, because it is so good as it is. But watching those videos, holy cow, would that be a hoot. Anyways, guys, final thoughts on my first week of ownership is it has been such a pleasant experience owning this car. I am so greatly looking forward to spring and summer this year to just enjoy putting a lot of miles on it and treating it like a car, taking it basically everywhere. Unless I need the Outback for those sort of things, it is seriously just such a fun experience just riding down the road and enjoying it in the pure essence of what this car is. It's not a car that focuses on itself. It's a car that you feel connected to the driving experience, and you can feel, other than through the electronic steering, basically exactly what's going on through this vehicle. It's not rough, it's not harsh, it's very forgiving, and it's going to make you a better driver. If you own a Miata, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and probably a whole lot more, so comment below what your thoughts are. If you're looking into it, you guys seriously need to go drive one. That was the deciding factor for me. I honestly just wanted to drive that 2016 to get my mind off of it, and I fell in love with it. I used to make fun of these. I did not understand, like, why would you buy one of these over a C6 or a similar performance car? And now I get it. I have totally forgotten about those other cars, because this is the funnest thing I've driven. If you like my videos, if you like my style, please consider liking this video to help it get shared. Comment to tell me what to do next or what you want to see. Experienced Miata owners, additionally, comment below, answer questions, help out the community. Let's help this platform grow and gain popularity in 2023. And always subscribe. What that does is it bookmarks my channel so you can see more cool stuff. Take care until the next one.